But there's a great deal of confusion and chaos in the Punjab Congress as Rahul Gandhi kicked off his campaign in the poll-bound state. First, sources told India Today, National Affairs editor Rahul Srivatava, that 5 MPs were planning to defy the party's senior leadership as Rahul Gandhi campaigned with his party's 117 assembly candidates. Reports suggested that 5 MPs, namely Manish Tewari, Ravneet Singh Bittu, Jasveer Singh Dippa, Mohammad Sadiq and Parneet Kaur were unhappy reportedly with Rahul's leadership and had decided to boycott his meeting in Jalandhar. However, the Congress has now come out to deny. They even called me right before this broadcast to say that there is no such revolt. It is completely false. The party has said that only MLAs were invited to meet Rahul Gandhi. They shared with me copies of the emails that were sent out which say only 117 MLAs were invited. No MPs were part of this plan. In fact, a few MPs also tweeted to say that they had excused himself from any meeting with Rahul Gandhi, this time because of prior commitments and campaigning. But in an interesting twist, like I said, one of the alleged rebel MPs, Ravneet Singh Bittu, has reached the Jalandhar venue where Rahul Gandhi is presiding.
Mr. Venugopal, while we are speaking, a lot of your MPs are not there. So now the buzz which is coming is this, that 5 of your MPs, which includes Manish, Tewari, Ravneet, Bittu, they have boycotted Mr. Gandhi's visit. How do you see this thing?
I don't think so. I don't think this. We are Amritsar. Amritsar MP is there very much. Everybody is busy with their election campaign and everything. There will be their respective consciences. Nothing is like that.
So all is well in the party now?
Very much.
कोई नाराजगी वाली बात नहीं। कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिए सभी ने काम करना है और सभी रल के इलेक्शन लड़ेंगे। कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। हम जीतेंगे और फिर दोबारा सरकार हमारी कांग्रेस पार्टी की बनेगी।
ये अच्छी बात है कि राहुल गांधी जी ने सभी अपने कैंडिडेट्स को साथ लिया है और एक मैसेज देने की कोशिश की है। और पवित्र स्थान दरबार साहब की धरती से हम जाएंगे, दुर्गाना मंदिर, बाल्मीक मंदिर, जलियांवाला बाग। तो एक यूनिटी का मैसेज है कि हम सारे एक हैं। सबसे पहला मैसेज तो ये चाहिए कि सारी कांग्रेस की लीडरशिप राहुल जी के नीचे और सोनिया जी के नीचे, दे आर वन। वी विल फाइट एज वन। If we all fight as one, only then do we survive. So next जो इलेक्शन का आगाज है वो हमें बताएंगे, हमारे से डिस्कस करेंगे क्या स्ट्रेटजीज हैं, क्योंकि इलेक्शन जो है पंजाब आज ये मानता है कि क्या सिस्टमेटिक चेंज करने में कौन सी पार्टी सक्षम है। तो वो सारा अपना मैनिफेस्टो में आने वाला है। वो आते दिनों में हम अपना आने वाला विजन भी दिखाएंगे और बताएंगे।
पूछ लगी थी आपसे, आप मैनिफेस्टो कमेटी के हेड भी हैं, क्या कुछ मेजर 2 पॉइंट्स रहेंगे? क्योंकि अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड इन्फ्लेशन एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा रहा है, लेकिन अगर आपको मैं बोलूंगी कुछ की पॉइंट्स, स्पेशली से लिस्ट 3 मेन पॉइंट्स, क्या रहेंगे सर वो? अब
सारा कुछ तो मैं आपको बता नहीं सकता, मगर ये जो लोगों की आकांक्षाएं हैं पंजाब में कि सिस्टमैटिक चेंज होना चाहिए, तो वो हम लेकर आएंगे। और आप देखेंगे कि जो लोगों के सेंटिमेंट हैं पंजाब के, वो उनकी सेंटिमेंट के मुताबिक ही ये मैनिफेस्टो होगा।
Okay, I want to quickly bring in India Today's Kamaljeet Sandhu. She joins me live from Punjab. She's been on the campaign trail there, tracking all of the netas. She joins me live. Kamal, you know, a big story emerging from Punjab, covered across the media about these 5 MPs who are rebelling. You know, many of us put it out on Twitter as well. Rahul Srivatava reported it. The Congress very staunchly coming out to say that this is misinformation, this is not true at all. You know, one of the MPs has come out to clarify. Ravneet Bittu has reached the venue. Are you anything clearer to you on the ground, Kamal?
Congress, for that matter, has always been like this. There have been differences between netas, and we've seen this even on state, especially Charanjit Singh versus Navjot Singh Sidhu versus Sunil Jhakar. So there have been different camps, and we've seen earlier Manish Tewari, Ravneet Bittu, they've talked about their angst especially in the way ticket distribution has been done. So whether these differences are for real, and when the police, when the monitor comes back in the class, it seems everything is all quiet and well. Perhaps even in Congress party for that matter, Rahul Gandhi is in town. Several of the MPs are not to be seen. But the explanation coming in from the Congress party is that this is a show of strength of the candidates of 117 constituencies. Only 109 have been announced, so all of them. That is how we saw it in Amritsar today. Clearly, there was a show of strength. Symbolic, especially a visit to Golden Temple, Durgyani Mandir, as well as the Valmiki Temple. So all that has been a part of the strategy. But what now happens is that once Rahul Gandhi is here in Jalandhar, he's going to kickstart his virtual rally. So we've seen a flurry of activity happening. All these MLAs and the other first faces who have been coming here. We shortly saw Pargat Singh making an appearance here. We've seen Ravneet, Bittu and the others really joining in. We've seen big cutouts and posters of Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. But what is important is the SWOT analysis which is to be done here in Congress. They're already facing an uphill task. Captain Amrinder Singh has made an exit. Channi in place, but he's facing the ED raids, especially his kin. There have been other problems like the infighting, anti-incumbency. But the fight here, many would say, is between the Aam Aadmi Party versus the Congress, which is on resurgence. And whether Rahul Gandhi's presence will actually boost the image of Congress party and whether they can make a comeback is something that now needs to be seen. But what is important is the differences which is appearing between the leaders. One faction doesn't seem to be happy with the other, then with the other, and it seems to be an ongoing problem as far as Congress party is concerned. So every time the High Command has come into the picture, even as far as the clarity on the CM face is concerned, nothing much has really come about it. So yes, what Congress is now stating, and it looks like, is a collective leadership, and they've harped on this. On the face of it, we have a Dalit Chief Minister. On the other hand, there is also the PCC Chief, a Judge Sikh leader in the face of Navjot Singh Sidhu. But it doesn't seem that they get along very well. And in between that are also some of the Member of Parliament who have either been vocal, even Parneet Kaur for that matter, who's wife of Captain Amrinder Singh. She's not exited the party like her husband has, but clearly she doesn't seem to be on the side of the Congress party. All that now needs to be factored in because as far as this state is concerned, this is crucial for the Congress party, and here each and every step will be very important, especially at a point of time where Congress is under ambush, under attack as far as... So there is a lot of activity which is happening. Let me try and get a sense. The media obviously surrounding all those leaders who've been coming and making their way here, and clearly we're expecting Rahul Gandhi in a short while.
Okay, so Rahul Gandhi is going to be there in a short while. Kamal, thanks very much for that. I know there's a lot happening on the ground where you are, so we'll cut right back to you once there is, something happening there. Rahul Shrivatava, National Affairs Editor, is here. Rahul, what sense are you making of, the Congress has come down heavily on these reports of the 5 MPs, who've sort of rebelled and conveyed their decision to boycott this event. They've said there's nothing of the kind. They've said that the MPs were not invited at all. Is this firefighting that is happening, or what are you hearing, Rahul?
Shiv, in the morning we were told by leaders of the Congress party in Delhi that 5 members of parliament have decided to skip the events by Rahul, which will be led by Rahul Gandhi, to present a show of strength and show of unity in Punjab for the party's campaign in the crucial state where it wants to regain power after tumultuous events in which Captain Amrinder Singh, Chief Minister, left, Channi was appointed, and it's still a divided house. Now, what we got confirmation from 2 of those leaders very clearly that they were not attending the meeting. And that is why when we checked, we will eventually find that in all, out of the 8 Congress members of parliament from Punjab, 6 of them were not there. 1 had very clear reason that he stated that he had conveyed that he will not be attending, and 5 were missing. Now, when we contacted this, they confirmed that that they were not attending because of being sidelined in the party. Now, after that, there has been definitely a firefighting by the Congress party. Members of parliament, one, it has been said that members of parliament were not invited. What we are told by our sources, that PCC, that is the Pradesh Congress Committee, representatives had called the members of parliament to attend the event. And now you see that Mr. Ravneet Singh Bittu is going to attend. Mr. Aujla, a member of parliament, was there in the Amritsar event. Mr. Pratap Singh Bajwa, a member of parliament, was present in the event. So it's not a fact that MPs were not invited. They were there, and some MPs definitely decided, they conveyed to us, that they are boycotting the event. What the Congress crisis right now is that it cannot show itself as a divided house at a time when it is trying to project as a united house in a state where credibility of the Congress party as a party which can stay united and deliver is at stake. And that is why what we are being told by our sources is that a major firefighting effort is on to now get those members of parliament who can be brought in to attend the events, to put up a united face.
Okay, so you know, just to simplify this even further for all of our viewers, the news breaks that 5 MPs have, are feeling sidelined and don't want to be part of the event. There are other MPs who are attending. The news is followed by all other channels. The Congress decides that we need to deny this story and we need to firefight this story. They've put out information of a credible nature saying that MPs were not invited, but there were some MPs already at that event. So what explains some of those other MPs actually not being there? Rahul Srivatava, who broke the story, says that this is a response from the Congress. They're firefighting, the possible fallout of this news break at a time when they're trying to show a united house reasonably enough in poll-bound Punjab. Joining me live, Rahul, stay with me. Joining me also on this developing story, because Rahul Gandhi is still in Punjab. He has a huge task on his hands, for the ruling Congress in Punjab. We have with us Ahbab Singh Garewal. Is a spokesperson of the Punjab Aam Aadmi Party. In a moment, we'll also be joined by Gurdeep Sappal of the Congress Party. Ahbab, what are you making of this? You know, I'm sure you've tracked very closely news of this big revolt. The Congress has vehemently denied it, saying there is no such revolt of any kind. We've heard from some of those MPs, but not all of them. Rahul Srivatava, National Affairs editor, says there is firefighting going on. How does the AAP see the events of today?
Well, Congress is a sinking ship. Having said that, I've got 2 or 3 points. Mr. Srivastava is right. Those MPs and other leaders are sulking because they've been told that only 1 ticket per family, but then dynasties have been adjusted left, right, and center in the Congress. And even Mr. Chenni's brother was denied a ticket while others were given tickets. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the contradiction. Mr. Sidhu was calling his ministers, who somebody was over worth 3,000 crores and somebody was over 5,000 crores. And now those are the exact same people who are flanking Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And I heard Mr. Bajwa talk about we sink or swim together. Well, they are sinking because now that their own PCC head has called them out for what they are, that's a corrupt bunch of people. And now they've all gotten it together, and by hook and by crook, they want to somehow cling on to power to save their own skins. And there's nothing else in this. They've got no ideological affinity to each other, nothing. It's just all the thieves coming together just to save their skins. And now that almost all the tickets have been declared, Mr. Sidhu has been very nicely sidelined by the Gandhi siblings, because they also know that this whole bunch has so much dirt on them that if this dirt comes out, the Congress will be gone for a toss anyways. So in all this melee, some people are sulking, some have got together, Sidhu's on the other side, and it must, I feel bad for Mr. Gandhi, it must be a very sinking feeling that he's getting from Congress now, but then it serves them right. That's what they've done to us in the past 5 years, and now the people of Punjab are ready to throw them out.
Get an official word from Gurdeep Sappal as well. Like I said before we went on this broadcast, I received a call from the Congress's media cell giving me a clarification. But right now the information is that there is a firefighting operation going on. Let me also give you a sense of the bigger picture regarding Rahul Gandhi's presence in Punjab today. Rashid Kidwai is one of India's, most read Congress watchers. He's a well-known political analyst. He's just written a column for India Today that's gone totally viral. I've just distilled some of those points for you to show you what Rashid Kidwai has to say about Rahul Gandhi's visit. He's part of India Today's very credible election team, and this is what he has to say about Rahul Gandhi in the Punjab campaign in his latest piece for India Today. Kidwai says Rahul is shying away from putting his prestige at stake in Punjab. He says that Rahul is letting regional satraps take the lead. He's scared to put himself at stake. He says that the Congress MP went on holiday when the campaign was actually supposed to kick off in Moga in the first week of January. He was in Europe at that time. Rashid Kidwai says that Rahul thinks the result of the Punjab polls will be a verdict on Channi and Sidhu leadership, so he doesn't want any of it. The Congress leaders feel if the Aam Aadmi Party wins, then Rahul cannot escape blame for what happens in Punjab, says Rashid Kidwai. And he says that the Congress cadre are already demoralized as a result of the plentiful infighting and factionalism that has divided the Congress in Punjab at this point of time. Gurdeep Sapal of the Congress Party is back with us. Gurdeep, apologize, we lost you there for a moment. Gurdeep, the story about the revolt of these 5 MPs, the Congress has formally denied it, saying there's no such revolt. Rahul Shrivatava, National Affairs Editor, is also here. He says that this was an afterthought. The Congress is firefighting the fact that some MPs have decided to show up, but other MPs are definitely sulking and feeling sidelined and therefore have not arrived.
I think today is a very interesting day because what we as congressmen are witnessing is oblivious to journalists and also Aam Aadmi Party's spokesperson who was there just now. Because what we saw today, that all 117 candidates unitedly with all the leaders, including Chief Minister Channi, Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu, Mr. Jakhar, with Mr. Rahul Gandhi, they went there out, went to Golden Temple, went to Durgyana Mandir, went to Valmiki Mandir. It was a united front. I did not see any division between that front. And Rahul Gandhi was campaigning openly. He was standing with people just 20 kilometers from Pakistan border, which scared the Prime Minister of India. That is the news today. I don't know from where the media invented the news and deleted the tweets after tweeting, because 2 of those MPs who were named as rebelled against Rahul Gandhi have sent defamation notices to those very journalists. Now Congress does not have only 8 MPs, it has 11 MPs, including Rajya Sabha MPs. Did you point out whether Santokh Singh was there or not? Will you please tell me? Will you please tell me whether Mr. Shamsher Singh Dullo was there or not? It's a cooked up story. Like I would say that today Amit Shah was in Mathura and Hema Malini was not with him. So Hema Malini has revolted against Amit Shah today.
Understood. I take your point. Gurdeep, I take your point. Let's just discuss this a little further. Rahul Srivatava, National Affairs Editor, continues to be with us. Rahul, is there any information or question you want to put to Gurdeep? Gurdeep, again, like the formal, word that came from the Congress a short while ago, says that this is misinformation that has been foisted on the Congress and there is nothing to it. You've said that this was a firefighting. The image is at stake right now. Unity is the bugbear and therefore they're doing everything they can to deny this.
See, Shiv, the point here is that it is not that the media cooked up the story. It is the point that members of parliament of the Congress party from Punjab called up and informed that they are skipping the meat. It is the cooking would have been that had the absence of these some members of parliament would have been construed by us that we are saying that they are missing, so they are boycotting. It was not that way around. It was a very candid admission by calling us up and saying that they are skipping the meat. So the point number 1 is that it is not our concoction, but it is an information. Second, if you see somebody like Mr. Jasveer Singh Gill, who has put out 3 now posts in the last 24 hours. The first one was yesterday, in which he said that what does a person do when he is ignored by his party? This was yesterday. Then he posted a tweet after the news break about his name doing the rounds, speculations about him boycotting, in which he said that I had already informed that I am not attending the event. That means he was invited, but he is not attending. He has already informed the party. The last one is that in this meeting, MPs were not invited, only 117 were invited. So the question of my being there is not there. Now, which one of this should the media hang on to? If a person is contradicting himself thrice in 24 hours, definitely there will be conjectures and there will be apprehensions. The fact remains, Shiv, is that whether Hema Malini is not there or there, it's a valid point that Gurdeep raises. He's a very old friend. But the point is that all is not well in the Congress party is a proven fact. The fact that there are members of parliament like Manish Tewari, who is part of the G23, he is skipping the meet. Now, is Manish Tewari attending? No, he is not. Is Parneet Kaur attending? She is not. Is Mohammad Sadiq, was he there? No, he was not. Now, it is up to the Congress party to check whether members of parliament were involved, informed and called. We have information that there were calls made out by the PCC to members of parliament day before yesterday asking members to join the meeting.
Gurdeep, respond to that. Specific points being made by Rahul.
We'll have to settle these questions.
That is as specific as it gets. That calls were made. Therefore, that's the reason why some of the MPs like Mr. Aujla, Mr. Bajwa are there, whereas some of the others are conspicuous by their absence.
Mr. Aujla was the local MP. He was the organizing MP for today's program. Mr. Bajwa is a MLA candidate. What Congress officially says is that important or this off the record where we do not know who has fed whom, whether from Congress party or elsewhere. It is a fact today that in Punjab Congress party split after Amritsar Singh was removed as Chief Minister. It is a fact that Parneet Kaur is wife of Amritsar Singh, but she stays in Congress party. There's no two views about it. Issue is, what is the news today? Is the news today whether 117 MLAs put up a united front with Rahul Gandhi, with all the leaders, and went to Amritsar? Rahul Gandhi can be seen mingling with everybody there without any fear, without anything. Is that the news, or news planted by sources is the news? My question is very simple. My question is simple. Out of 11 MPs, first, media picked up only 5 names. They did not verify about the others except Mr. Aujla and Bajwa. Out of those 5 also, now, 2 have sent defamation notices. 1 has joined the Jalandhar program because that Mr. Ravneet Bittu is the MP from adjoining area. That is why he was already invited into that rally. Only 2 MPs remain. Only 2 MPs, and
Understood.
it has been construed as that some revolt.
Point taken, Gurdeep. Abab, you put up your hand. Things are. I don't think even the Congress will admit that things are all completely hunky dory. There are issues which are being sorted out. Gurdeep has a point where he says that Rahul Gandhi has a big task on his shoulders, and he went out there, and it was meant to be an image of projected unity, and some of those images were certainly compelling. But is it really much ado about nothing? Can there be smoke without a fire? There are surely some problems.
I'll tell you what the problem is. What the Congress is doing is that's the classic case of shooting the messenger. The media has got nothing to do with it. You contacted the media, they put it out. What's happening in the Congress is that Sidhu made lots of noises about getting a systematic change. You heard Mr. Bajwa say getting in a systematic change. But the old corrupt guard has got together, they've joined ranks, and they have decided that the best way for us to survive is to watch each other's backs. I'm sorry I'm repeating it, but the Ram ministers were 3,000, 5,000 crores, and now it seems that finally Mr. Gandhi has decided to back that faction. And once that faction of the Congress is backed, then we know in Punjab that there is no systematic change coming. It's more of the same. And what happened with them was they got together to fight the captain. When they got the captain out, they started fighting amongst themselves. Then there were small battles over who's going to get what tickets. And obviously, apart from the spoils for the last 6 months, who's going to get what ticket? Some of them managed to get tickets for their nieces, nephews, for their son-in-laws, for their daughters, for their wives. But the rest, who were told that, no, you will not be given tickets because it's one family, one ticket, are now sulking. And now they're going to start washing their dirty linen in public, which is good for us because then we see more dirt coming out from the Congress cabinet.
Gurdeep, yeah, you can respond to that since it was directly at the Congress.
I am very amused when Aam Aadmi Party says such things. It's a party which is a new party governing a city-state, but is so rich now that it is matching BJP's and Narendra Modi's advertisement budget. And Congress party, which has ruled for so many years in this country, decades and decades, is ruling Punjab, doesn't have money. From where does Aam Aadmi Party get its money? It always says others are corrupt. Please tell me from where are you getting your money? Now, as far as Punjab is concerned, please understand, whenever a party which is as strong as Congress distributes tickets, there are various aspirants. All their aspirations are accommodated. Some people get tickets, some don't get ticket. What matters is what happens after the ticket. After the ticket, today, even after this news was floated, I'll go by Rahul's opinion that it was a planted news from Congress side. Okay, but those very MPs who you claim have planted are today standing openly out with Congress party, tweeting that they never did it. So whom should you believe? You should believe those people who are there together out campaigning today.
That is also, and this show has, this show and this channel have always demonstrated that we break the news, we take all sides on board, we let our viewers decide, but information is information. There's no question of India Today ever having an agenda. We break all the political news on this. If the Congress has a view, we will certainly put it out on anything we break. Rahul, Ebab and Gurdeep, thank you very much for being with me here on 5 Live.